Stories. I've been really liking this Vivi Cauldron deck. It has been impressive and fun and fresh, just everything you want in a modern brew. This is, really the same core shell as the standard version, like focusing really on these 20 cards, I guess these 24 cards, right? Where you're just like churning through your deck by activating Cauldron on Vivi, making gigantic creatures that make tons of mana, which draw a lot of cards between Winternight Stories and Faithless Looting. As it turns out, Chandler, Bauble, Street Wraith, Faithless Looting, and Arena of Glory are all like insane enablers for that archetype, which I think is what allows you to put yourself over the edge. I do still think Temporal Trespass is the best card to play so that you can win the game immediately if you've already attacked the same turn, which happens a lot with Profts and Fear of Missing Out. Just been loving the deck. It's been very fun, very fresh. Want to play it through a challenge. I saw some builds that just were worse, and I don't want to crack the bubble before I loot, so I guess we're not going to trigger Profs. I saw some builds that were worse, and I also don't feel like I fully understood how the deck worked. Okay, usually when I think I'm gonna just keep one VV. I don't usually like to do this, but it's kind of a weird game where I could just kind of easily play the FOMO next turn, and then I might just have a fair-ish VV, or can go VV plus Bauble. But for the most part, you just want to dump these in the yard and Cauldron them. They're not that good to cast. No Beats with the 62 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Glad you're still here, too. It's been a long time. Yeah, I'm very excited for the Japan trip. We have our hotels and flight booked. We still have some of the transport stuff to hammer out. Okay, drawing Cauldron. I'm going to be probably not that interested in casting the VV anymore. Let me just cast the FOMO first, though, see if it resolves. Okay, glad that this got snared and not the Cauldron. Oh. I do want to cycle the Bauble. Good amount of Belcher today, I guess. All Rosses are playing Belcher today. They've got a Seagate over there. Untapped. And a Thundertrap Trainer. You look like you've lost some weight. My grandma says I've gotten fat, so this is you bouncing stuff out. I have lost weight, yeah. So I've been on like a long fitness journey to... I like lost a lot of weight and then didn't like how I looked without any muscle. Then I've spent a lot of time building muscle, and recently I've been like on kind of a different. I'm just gonna cast the Cauldron. I've been like on a little bit of a different workout plan that's been really good, where I've been working out to failure every 4 days, and then doing cardio really hard for 2 days, and taking a recovery day. And it's been pretty good. I've been losing weight and building muscle at the same time for the first time. It's because I had been like bulking and cutting, which I felt bad, and it felt like I wasn't really getting anywhere with it either, but this has been a lot better. All right, so I think I'm going to Cauldron the VV now, just so I have it. And then maybe I could save the Cauldron over there too. Now, I was really hoping that this island is really wrecking me here, so because I could pop off a little bit more without it. So right now, we could go Mako, Cauldron, the FOMO, activate, make 2 mana, but we can still do that if we draw a red source. And it seems like we're not going to really be able to effectively like get counters of Mako and make mana unless we get a different creature. So I think we should cast the Looting first, which is what we have been lucky enough to do. So I'll discard the Winternight Stories. Drawing Profs is very interesting. It might be best for me to cast the Profs first. I guess I can cast both. So let me go ahead and exile the second VV. So second VV underneath Cauldron goes really crazy because you can activate each creature twice. So we're very likely to win the game this turn, assuming my opponent doesn't have much interaction, and they haven't done much interacting yet. So let's go ahead and cast. I think we just cast both of these first. Let's cast the Profts first and see if it resolves. So I have a Looting and a Winternight in the yard, or 2 Lootings and a Winternight in the yard. So we'll cast this. And then I think what we'll do is we'll go add mana, blue, blue, red. And then we'll flashback the Winternight, tapping the FOMO, floating the red mana. And then this is going to trigger both the Shark and it's going to make the Profts bigger. And then I still can activate the Shark twice this turn. So we'll discard 2 cards, which grows the Shark twice. I want to keep this Looting in hand, or the Bauble in hand to discard 2 Looting. Now, this is really where the Temporal Trespasses in the deck matter a lot, because being able to cast those this turn allowed me to win the game this turn because I have no creatures with haste. So let me go ahead and go blue, red, red, blue, blue. And I'm just going to be floating a blue and a red here. And then my Profts is I'm going to have so much mana off this, because I can still activate this Mako one more time, by the way. Okay, so discard these 2. And I want to activate this one after my Profts triggers, because I'm going to put like infinity counters on the Shark here. And we have 2 more Looting, so we'll just go ahead and cast this FOMO. Although it might be better. I guess it's better to put the counters on this FOMO, because I can still activate this one twice, and I can activate this one. Yeah, it's better to put the counters on the FOMO, because I can activate this twice, and I can still get 8 more mana off this if I need it. I had Detective's Phoenix in an early draft. I have not really regretted cutting it, as it just doesn't help you win in these kind of spots, and it doesn't really help you win in the normal spots, I think, either. All right, so we're looking for Temporal Trespass, Winternight Stories, Looting, of course. Just help us keep going. We have 2 Lootings in the yard, I think. But Trespass is how we win the game this turn. Really, next turn, I guess. Because it's like I had Phoenix basically in the Trespass slot, and it's just like I found myself in these kind of situations where I need the Profts to make a bunch of mana. I need this to make a bunch of mana, and then I've made the mana. And I've already attacked this turn. And so, like, the Phoenixes don't help me win in this spot. I haven't tried Rizzler. I feel pretty confident Rizzler is not optimal in the modern version. Okay, so discard a Channeler. And then we have 1 more Trespass in the deck. Let's just go ahead and see if this one is enough, if they have a counterspell. Doesn't feel super duper likely. Imagine Commandeer. Now we still can activate both of these this turn. So this is 12 mana. This is 14. To flashback this Winternight and this Looting at the very least to dig for our other copy of Trespass. It doesn't work. Why couldn't you Commandeer this? Take an extra turn. If they Commandeer, then you cast another one who gets the next turn. I think we get the next turn. I'm not sure. If that's what you mean by they can't Commandeer it. It's a legal target. Yeah, this isn't it isn't target player takes another turn. You just gain control of it, then you take the turn. I'm trying to port the deck over to Pioneer. I found Mishra's Command to be pretty decent. That's the red one, right? I literally have no idea what it does. In the modern version, you just can't play any of these big clunky cards that are only good when you're going off, like, or at least like Trespass is something that lets you win immediately, which you need. But besides that, like, okay, this is not what I was thinking. Okay, choose target player. They discard up to X, and they draw for each one. That's okay. X damage to creature, X damage to planeswalker. It doesn't target players, which sucks. This will be on Trespass. Yeah, the Trespass or an effect like this is, in my opinion, pretty mandatory. I think Trespass is the best because I think it's the best when you're not comboing off. Like, we've won a few games just by casting it normally. My opponent is in the tank here, so it seems like they have some kind of interaction. First copy of Gutshot on the sideboard. I assume you'd be Grape Shot. Is it Gutshot for Bowmaster? We have Fire Magic for Bowmaster right now. Gutshot could be better. Yeah, the haste and Pioneer for Mishra's Command might be pretty important. Alright, how long ago did I cast this? I cast this... Oh, they lost connection. I cast this 3 minutes ago. Yeah, I don't like. I guess I don't understand what the vision of the gut shot would be. Okay, so they've let this resolve. I'm gonna keep going. You might. I think just getting like one more creature in play is kind of nice. Also, like I like making a bunch of mana. I guess no reason not to tap a creature here. What about fleeing? So again, the problem with like fleeing or like really any of the other cards that have been suggested a bunch is it's like why like in trespass is good because you don't need to be going off to have 3 mana time walk be good sometimes. You do need to have this board for fleeing to be good. So instead of just suggesting random cards that win the game when you have all these resources, like all of these other suggestions are going to, it's way better or way more helpful to suggest a card that also wins the game like trespass does, but can win the game in a way that is helpful when you're not popping off, which is again very critical for you to like even consider it, because again your trespass wins the game in these spots, of course. But like we have won a few games just by going like Vivi Trespass or FOMO Trespass. And you know, being a DRC Bauble looting deck fills up the yard really quickly. Okay, so we're up again against Belcher. Let's bring in 4 Force of Negations. Now in this matchup, the Trespasses are like not very needed because just passing with Force of Negation up is usually gonna be enough to get the job done. Or Force of Negation plus Cauldron to stop Tamashi maybe. Let's do that, and then I think I'm gonna go down. I like Wraith more than I like Bauble for the most part. I think I kind of Bauble into Profts though. Yeah, I'm not sure what the overall record is. We have not played a lot with it on stream. Off stream, it's been pretty positive. I'm not sure what the overall record is. We 0-2 the challenge today, but it was very rough. We got Leyline Bowmastered by one deck, and then we got Turn 2 Persist Archon, just tough. Yeah, I think Ashiok just to stop Whir is not worth it, especially because like it's like a 3 mana card to stop a 3 mana card against all this cheap counter magic. We're not that good at hitting our 3rd land on turn 3. I'm not that into it. Thoughts on Cauldron into Buried Alive for Vivi plus Narcomoeba? It's kind of an interesting thought. Buried Alive typically sucks. Buried Alive, I don't like that Buried Alive is really like a card that's only good if you curve it after Cauldron. Where this is maybe a good time to talk about this. One of the main reasons why Boros Energy is so good is that you could just draw your cards in any order. You can just draw your cards in any order and they're all good. This deck is also kind of like that in some ways. Like you like any of your 1-drops are good on turn 1. Any of your 2-drops are good on turn 2. You have so many. Vivi is not a card you cast that often, but you have so many ways to dig for Vivi to put into the yard for the Cauldron. You have so much redundancy. But what I really like about this deck is it seems like you could really draw your cards in any order for the most part. You just kind of need to get a Vivi in the graveyard eventually and a Cauldron in play eventually to like pop off. But you have like plenty of powerful aggro draws that don't even involve Vivi or Cauldron. So, so maintaining that dynamic is really critical, I think. Yeah, we have enough blue cards for Force. We are. So we cut 3 and then we added 4, so we have 15, which is well within range. Okay, so on the draw against an Orderly Plaza, we draw for turn a Profts. So I was thinking I was going to try to like Faithless Looting, discard Winternight Stories, flashback Winternight Stories with the Mako. I want to try to keep an open mind here. No, there's no way Rage is optimal. Again, like you really want to stay away from stuff that helps your combat steps because your combat steps are already nuts. You need like these kind of effects. They really. I've just been saying this nonstop for like 5 days, so that's okay. Whatever these like flex spot cards you play is, it's really important that they win the game after you've already attacked. That is the most crucial thing. I've drawn a Vivi. Let's Looting and Winternight, I think, and discard a Winternight and a Vivi. Oh, maybe I should have discarded 2 Winternights so I could discard the Vivi too. the Winternight because I don't have another creature. Although discarding extra cards isn't that bad for with the Shark in play. So another copy of Shark. Let's go discard the Thundering Falls and the second Profts, I think. This grows to 6 power. We want to crack the Bauble on their turn. We want to crack the Bauble on their turn for the Profts. We do want to find a blue card for Force, but they also didn't suspend a Bloom, so we have a little bit of time. Good card to know about. I wrote your name for my 64-month sub. I meant to say thanks for dope content or something. I guess I missed that, but I thought I got that vibe off your resub. I'm glad to see you here after all this time. It's cool just to see the same faces this constantly. It's really humbling in some ways. Okay, so they have a Belcher in their hand. They played this on tap, so they probably have a Snare or a Scalding. So don't necessarily want to play this into that. Okay, so now I would really like to bait. Yeah, let's go ahead and haste this Marco Sharko. I really want to bait Scalding on this so I can just play Cauldron onto the Shark and then combo off. Did I consider trying Lord Reveal? It feels like a deck that can cast it better than most. I didn't. I think that the tap lands are way too punishing probably, but it's an interesting thought. Alright, so I think I'm just going to cast the Profts. Expect this to get snared. And then I'm in a spot where if my opponent taps out for the Belcher next turn, we can combo kill them. This should be 4 counters because we drew Bauble, Street Wraith, and then Profts. I guess that's 3 counters. I guess we also just have regular lethal next turn. So we could lose to Word plus Tamashi if they have those 2 cards in their hand, we'll lose. You think they have Scalding? Yeah, Scalding seems kind of likely, although like I just don't know that they wouldn't have Scaldinged. But I guess they also don't have Snare. Maybe we should have gone for the Cauldron, just make them have it. Yeah, Kizul's Fury is another tap land. Yeah, Fury of the Horde's interesting. I think it's probably still worse than Trespass, but it's in the right direction. Okay, not Whir. That's the only card we didn't want to see was Whir. Okay, so they reveal a word to Thundertrap Trainer though, so that could be pretty dangerous. Yeah, if they just go like Snare the Cauldron, they can untap and win a lot of the time here. And our arena stays tapped. So I guess my options are to... I guess Winternight might just be better actually, because Winternight Stories is going to make it where this is a 9 power creature, this is a 7 power creature. Okay, I guess we're not going to ever have lethal, though. Alright, I cast the Cauldron. They have the Snare. And we are going to make them have the Tamashi, or we're going to go to game 3. Maybe attacking first is better to play on Flare. No. If they Flare, then they're dead on board, so probably not. Every moment that passes, it's less likely they have the Tamashi to go along with this Whir of Invention. Yeah, I thought about Winternight to dig for Force. But the thing is, they just didn't snare the Profts last turn, so it felt like that maybe they were on Scalding instead of snare. They just didn't. They just didn't Scald. Okay, so they're probably going to take a Flood Maw. Play a Seagate, tapped. So they had to sink, Belcher, Flood Maw, 2 mystery cards. Oh, I guess I discarded the Thundering Falls. That's okay. So if they bounce just this, we have them dead with Winternight. Okay, so they force pitching the sink. So it is Belcher, Bounce Spell, Whir. Oh, I forgot about the Whir until just now. So it'd be nice to find a Force of Negation, but we also don't really need it because they're going to bounce one of these, chump the other. No Force of Negations in the top 25. We might get a fish. A lot of times when they bounce creatures, they give you a fish for no reason. they shouldn't, but it just kind of happens that way a lot of the time. We know their hand exactly. Whir, Belcher, Floodball. So Shark bounced, chump block. They must draw Tamashi to win the game this turn. It's unlikely that they could removal spell their way out of this too, since this should be lethal next turn with the arena. I guess they could whir for Portable Hole and draw Flood Ball, but then they're still just kind of like treading water. All right, GG's. This deck really is something. I don't know exactly what it is yet, but it is something. When you brew decks, so you come up with a deck special like Cascade Beans, you often just throw like 5 different cards in the sideboard. If you put a lot of time in the sideboard, this deck could be next Beans. I agree that the sideboard could use some tuning. I will say that when you're playing really linear Faithless Looting decks like this, your optimal sideboards do look like this sometimes. Not saying that this is optimal, but like you just don't want to sideboard that much. I found myself really weak to spell-based combos, so the forces have been great. I agree we could tune some stuff some more, and usually I agree your best sideboards don't look like this, and like this is usually how first drafts of decks look, but I agree we got something going here. I hate that I want to cram Griselbrand. Griselbrand seems pretty sweet. And not quite lucky enough to draw 2 more Street Wraiths here. Let's get a Cauldron down. They graveyard a Rin in 6. They're some kind of teamer. Not creativity because of the Misty. Usually want to go after lands when you see Rin in 6. Yeah, let's just cast the Vivi, I think. This is the kind of spot where if they kill the Vivi, you just don't care. And we have like all these like non-creature spells, and then we can go like looting, profs, ton of counters on the Vivi, make a ton of mana second main phase. I guess one little bit of awkward thing is if they have a second discharge, they have enough energy to kill this. They bounce the Vivi. I guess they're just 4-color Omnath. Now drawing a 1-mana red creature or just cheap creature in general will be the best. No, maybe I should cast the looting this turn. Okay. So I have Delirium. Let's go ahead and Cauldron the Vivi. Drew a FOMO. Now I guess I pretty foolishly didn't arena mana, playing a little too fast, but arena mana would have been really ideal here. Should be okay. I do want to cast the looting so that my props just makes more mana. Okay, that's pretty good. I get a rush playing this deck. Oh, I guess I should have cast the other Winternight first. So I have 9 mana after this though. So let's see, I have got 2 lootings in the yard. Probably better to just flash those back than it is to play I guess we should play the Vivi. Bit awkward that I'm not floating the extra. Oh, I have the extra blue from the Vivi done. Okay, discard, and flashback Winternight Stories, tap here. Hopefully we can find a trespass. I guess we discard the FOMO. Play the Bauble Surveil. So right now my Vivi's making 3 mana. So this is going to be, I think, unfortunately, a little bit short of looting into the kill, right? We win if we don't cast Vivi. Oh, I just needed to Cauldron the Vivi again. Duh. So here's the but it's okay. I can still win because I can just go I can just go profits into cast the trespass. I mean, casting the Vivi, like I get a lot of pings too. Like that's not irrelevant if I just don't find the trespass. Yeah, but maybe just being able to Vivi again off the other Cauldron was way better. A very easy deck to play. Oh, this Vivi has a second activation. Sorry, that's also true. There's just so much going on. Okay, up a game. I had Ballista in some earlier drafts. I think that I just don't like that Ballista is a card that is only good if you have an active Cauldron, which I think makes it a lot worse than Trespass, which is just sometimes really good and not that situation. I guess the counterpoint to that though is that sometimes Ballista is just like 0 mana 2 types for Delirium, which isn't like that isn't irrelevant. Okay, I do think that this is a matchup where we can just board in a bunch of Force of Negations and hold those up after we've popped off. The Trespasses are also really good though because they don't really play a bunch of counter magic. So I think at the very least we don't really need the second Trespass. Like one of these swaps is okay. I think we can go down 1/1, play like 3. This looks good. Let's run this. Yeah, also if you have 2 VVs under the same Cauldron, everything has 2 VV activations. Yeah, always use Arena mana. That's the real moral for sure. Okay, it's kind of fun to play Shark on the draw against a Ridden 6, because if they ping it, we just get to cycle, then attack it. Yeah, I've been really liking the Forces, I agree. They've been quite good. Yeah, I had Consign in my first draft, and I'm just like, I actually don't need these. Which is not something you say about Consign that often. Triple Channeler is interesting. Yeah, let's not just run into Wrath of Skies, X=1. It's like it's so fun. I tested over the weekend. When it works as a blast, I found that the non-functional draws aren't very forgiving, and the average Marn deck stomps you easily when it happens. That's interesting, because I've kind of had the opposite experience, I guess, where to me it seems like you could almost just draw your cards in any order. Like our draw has like no VV, no Cauldron, but it's just like it's still just very linear and powerful. But not that your experience isn't important. I'm glad for the feedback. Ooh. We are kind of weak to Witness Chant, I guess. Great, glad we played around that Wrath. Arena would be kind of fun to haste both of these. Do we think that this... I think that it is kind of likely they have another Wrath, although I think seeing the Witness, I'm a little scared, and I'm just gonna, not play around it at this point. Very, very possible they have it, though. The way they just, like, immediately Wrathed. We know one of their cards is a Witness. They just got a fresh card here. Yeah, they do have it. Also, like, the FOMO, like, really incentivizes us to empty our hand. Alright, so they have an uncastable Turn of Witness, 2 other cards. We draw a Force of Negation, which is pretty awkward. I think I'm still going to cast the FOMO and just keep it moving here. Kind of sad that we couldn't have the Force or the Wrath. Okay, there's another one. 4 cards in their hand. They play a Windswept Heath first. So maybe just like Windswept Heath, pick up the Celestial Purge. No, Hardcast Salt. I guess we just got to keep it short in here. Since so much of the mana comes from Vivi, is it possible that Savor the Moment should be the turn spell? I don't think so. Because this is the last time I'm gonna say this stream. I want this. If you're gonna cut the Trespass for something, it needs to be good when you don't have active Vivi. And every comment suggesting cutting Trespass it seems to be somehow, despite me saying this over and over again, every comment seems to be for a card that is only good when you have active Vivi. So I understand that it's kind of weird and complicated, everything about this deck, but I'm done repeating myself on that point for now. Yeah, maybe a mod can make a command, but we are past the point of productivity on this one, I think. All right, so they draw a bunch of cards. We have the possibility of going off here, but we're probably going to go to game 3. Do get chanted. The forces are not that good against chant, like you have to hardcast them. Surgical against chant's kind of interesting. Don't really like it that much, I guess. I think I like my sideboard plan. Let's just run it. I think having the forces for the Wrath, like it's so hard for them to play around that. Although they did see some forces this game. Okay, pretty hand. Let's keep. Is there any card I would see on top of this Bauble that I'd really want to keep? Nah, I think even looting. I'm still just trying to curve out here. And you want to crack the Bauble always on their turn, of course, so that your profs get bigger. Good to know about Celestial Purge. A Prismatic Ending? Maybe a Consign or a Snare? Orb's Chant, wow. So we could combo off this next turn, but we know they have the Purge, so it seems less likely. Yeah, I feel pretty confident Trespass is the best, I agree. So they didn't kick the chant. This is a very odd game. You don't see this chanting so aggressively usually. I kind of hope they just go Teferi Bounce so that I can go Shark, Looting, Cauldron maybe. Alright, not gonna get that lucky. Okay, so we know they've got the Celestial Purge. Let me just start off with this Looting. We want to keep the Winternight to hardcast in case they've got some graveyard hate. Yeah, I think I'll discard Steam Vents, Vivi. Cast a Mako. Cast a Cauldron. They also may mess up. I could attack and then they would purge and then I just never get to use the shark. So let's. Okay, they do mess up because now they I don't think they realize that I can activate this in response. Okay, they target this one. Okay. Blue 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 blue. Do do dee do do da. So I've already played my land this turn. Let's discard a Channeler. I need to decide, is it more important for me to flashback this Winternight Stories, or is it more important for me to attack for 5? I think it's Winternight's more important. I could find the Force of Negation also. We do find the Force of Negation. So do I want to discard FOMO, or do I want to discard Steam Vents Bauble? Let's discard the FOMO. It's maybe a little greedy. Teeny bit greedy. Okay, I'll take a peek at the open path. I don't. It just looks weird because it's the arena text bubbles, but gonna be a lot of spiders, I think. Spider Silk Innovator. Yeah, they did what they could. Crazy, only 5 of the main deck cards aren't in standard. Arena is a really important one too. Yeah, let's stop that from happening. They have 3 cards in their hands. We draw 1. Not ideal. Okay, so we're gonna make 6 mana. We can still find another Vivi and get a second activation of this shark this turn, by the way. Do I have any Winternights left? I have a looting. Okay, so 2 cards. So let's play a Channeler and then looting. We're digging for another Vivi, probably more than anything else. Another Force is nice. Discard our lands, I suppose. Could be better to just pass with the Force of Negation up. Let's go ahead and flashback Winternight Stories. I don't think being able to attack with this shark seems to matter very much this turn. Come on, another Vivi. Let's discard the Wraith. Prophet. We can still cast the Prophet this turn. Don't worry, we'll get there. I want to get another Vivi so before I do all this other stuff, but it looks like I am not going to be able to do that this turn. So maybe it's like not even important to... Maybe it's more important to hold up the Agatha Soul Cauldron for like, so I don't have to Force of Negation a Ephemerate. And just save this as the blue card. Yeah, I think that that's fine. Heard a lot of Modern playable on Arena, so maybe Arena on Modern is close. Well, they're probably missing like 20,000 cards. So it depends on what your definition of close is. But they could probably have like functional Modern, like you know what like the common like top decks are. But as far as like the actual card pool goes, they're probably like 20,000 cards away. That will just never ever come. But maybe that's not that important that you have those. I don't know. Okay, so let's get a counter on the Channeler. We have a Winternight, 2 or 3 lootings in the yard. Got a lot going on over there. This is gonna be a good mana generating card for me here. I think I want to start off with a looting. Now, it's possible that our extra turn effect is a little too deep. Okay, this is gonna make now we can double activate everything. Okay, there it is. So why don't we just see if this resolves before we get too crazy here. 1, 2. Oh, maybe we should try to find our last Force. Nah, that's okay. If this doesn't resolve, we still win this turn. I don't know. Okay, great. So now we just keep going. Let me Cauldron this Vivi again. I don't know if they realize this that I have like 1,000 million mana, more or less. Yeah, the thing is, finding another Force shouldn't be important because we just should be able to find a Profs to put on the Channeler. I guess I should have cast this FOMO first. It just nothing matters. All right, so let's cast the Profs. So maybe my opponent has Solitude, white card as their last 2. Okay, they can see it. 2-0. I can keep this on the draw. Devourer of Destiny over there. 2 of them. So they do keep a card on top. They played Ugin's Lap, imprinting one of those Devourers. They exiled Ulamog, a K command, a Temple, a Mine, and a Tower. Let's lead on the Channeler here. Alright, well my hand's really redundant, so I don't mind the Seer so much, I guess. Would have been way worse if I didn't draw the second Looting. Take a second Looting. I think that is almost definitely the right call here. We want to start off with the Bauble so we get one more look at a land. That's a pretty nice one to see down there. Now we have to cast a Looting. Graveyard for some value. Be a bit sad if we miss on our land, though. Okay, do not miss on the land. So, we need to be a little bit worried about my opponent thought not seeing my second Cauldron, right? So, I think we could just play around that by discarding FOMO Profts, this is a lot of value to discard, though. The thing is, I think we're just so likely to win the game if we just don't get Thought Not Seared on the Cauldron. Like, maybe they have, like, K command or something, but I think it seems worth playing around to me. Like, we have a Looting and a Winternight in the yard. Alright. Successfully chosen. What if villain summons Karn? Well, we can attack the Karn with the DRC. I guess they get Crypt. Called shot from canister over there. Alright, so this will let me kill the Karn. Finding a Street Wraith would be really helpful so I can kill the Seer too. With the like me not having many VVs left to Cauldron, but I think digging for this the Wraith is fine. I need to click 2 cards here so that the Karn dies. We may just want to abandon the Cauldron plan altogether since they have the Crypt. I think we'll just, let them take they might take the FOMO over the Cauldron anyways. I think we should keep one. I wonder if they ever just like thoughtlessly crack the Crypt before attack. Doesn't seem that likely. The Karn down at the cost of a Shark. They have a Thought Not Seer in their hand and then 2 spells because they didn't play land last turn. Let's go ahead and say no to one more Shark here. It would be okay if they like Thought Not Seared the Cauldron and then we drew a land, but I think it's that important. So they have a Talisman, which is unlikely to get cast over the Seer here. Without tapping the Channeler, Karn could have gone down. Well, if I have to tap the Channeler, right? Because if I attack the card with the Channeler, they Tormod's Crypt, and then they just block the Seer, and it's a disaster. So I have to tap the Channeler to cast the Winternight Stories, so I have a lethal attack on the Karn, right? They have a K command. They make spawns, and they exile my Shark. Then they attack. Interesting. So are they going to play the Talisman? They don't play the Talisman. We draw a card off the Bauble. We draw a card for turn. Forcing the... I hate having to get this exiled. I guess I could just discard this to the second FOMO, maybe, or discard this to the other FOMO. Sure. Okay, and then we can attack, because they let this resolve, we can attack, and then if they pop the Crypt, then we can Cauldron the Vivi. Okay, so we at least got 3 more damage in that we wouldn't have had otherwise if they had popped the Crypt in response to the Cauldron. So we'll make them pop the Cauldron, or the Crypt rather, and then move on with our day here. So they might Thought Not Seer this Winternight Stories. Their hand is Talisman, Thought Not Seer, Mystery card. Although I guess it seems like they have a 7-drop in their hand because they made spawns and then they just drew a land for turn, so we might be getting like Devoured or Sired here. Thanks Leafblade for the 21. Hope you're doing well. So maybe that read is wrong or was wrong. We only have 2 VVs left in the deck, right? Okay. Seems like not the turn to haste the Arena of Glory. So nice to have 2 FOMOs maybe to double block a Seer. And then if a FOMO dies, we have Delirium on the Channeler. They didn't play the Talisman on their turn, which I mean, they didn't cast K Command end of turn either. I feel like they probably just wanted to play the Talisman. Doesn't really matter much. It's the same amount of mana next turn. I probably can't beat that. Are they casting the Talisman now? We do need if they attack with a Seer, which they probably won't do. So now we double block, we get Delirium, and then I guess we go from there. Obviously, this is a tough draw. Yeah, we need to draw a creature so that we can haste with the Arena to kill the Karn. There's Soul Land off Emrakul mana. Typically, these decks don't really play Emrakul. Well, it's not a very good draw, huh? I don't really see a path to victory, but I guess we'll cast the Winternight anyways. Tough game. It seemed like they had K Command, Karn, and Seer, which I don't think we were playing around any of those on the really crucial turn. We found their Cauldron or Vivi, but you know, second Karn too much. Move on to game 2. So we may need more sideboard cards for this matchup. Like I think off stream I just beat Tron normally like 2 times in a row, and I cut my consigns. And I don't think consign is a particularly good sideboard card for our deck anyways, because we're not very good at holding up mana. I'm kind of interested in trying these forces, not the full 4, but like being able to just stop Karn, stop Ensnaring Bridge, sometimes stop main phase K Command, sometimes stop Ugin. All of those things seem okay. And then of course on your like really big combo turns, like just passing with Force of Negation up seems like very powerful and likely to win us the game in a similar way that digging for a Trespass could win us the game. So maybe we want to do something like 1 Trespass, 3 Force of Negation, kind of Profts, kind of Bauble like we've been doing. I haven't cast Besim in a while. I have been kind of thinking about it. I know I just played I'm gonna keep this on the play. I know we just played another anti-causal deck, but for the most part I need to get that one out of the system because it's kind of like the cap on our work on that archetype to some extent. Okay, we want to save the Wraith because we could draw a Shark. I'm interested in trying for a little bit to just not play Mox Opal and not play Eldrazi Temple decks. I just have noticed that we've been playing kind of too many of those lately, and moving away from those a bit seems like it could keep things a bit more fresh. We don't run enough instant sorceries for Battle Reveler. I don't know. I mean, Battle Reveler I don't think would really... I don't know if that would be good in our deck. It could be, maybe. They play a lab. They imprint a World Breaker, and then they pass the turn. So it could have a command up, maybe. We really need to find a creature off this, and we can like put counters on it with Profts, and then we can maybe flashback. Although this one is maybe the best creature because we get two counters for the Prof. So we're gonna get to put 3 counters on this twice. So we're gonna attack for 5 and then attack for 8. I don't think they can keep me off Delirium with a K command, and they can't exile this with K command either. Dismember would be bad, but not a lot we could do about that. So first trigger, put 3 counters. We get to attack for 5, then we get to put 3 more counters and attack for 8. which means, of course, we just have lethal next turn. Four counters. You don't get the card you drew for turn. Or you do, and then it's -1, I guess. So is here the K command? Looks like it. And they scry draw instead of making spawns, which is, basically always what you want to see. They do keep a card on top. Seems better to flashback Winternight Stories than to just attack for 3. And then we get to make a 6/6 channeler for next turn, potentially. I mean, we get to make it, but it might die. Might as well keep that. Could just discard it or just make this lethal next turn. Yeah, I guess kind of close between. I think we'll discard 2. This way we just have a lethal channeler, and like we don't really mind this being in the graveyard so much anyways. Getting the surveil is valuable though. Kind of borderline. They have Tron. And then there's a Devourer of Destiny, so that's not great. We are at 11 life points. They have a World Breaker they can put in their hand, but no green mana. Seems like to me I'd like to flash back the looting instead of flashing back the Winternight Stories. Although we don't really draw anything. I think I'll cycle the Profts. I don't know if Charmal is the card we want. I don't know if Consign is the card we want. That might just be the answer. But it does seem like I think we went win. I think I went win twice off stream against Tron. I think I've lost to it now 2 or 3 times in a row. So it feels like we need a little bit of help. Like Bauble's better, gives you lethal next turn. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I guess I'll go ahead and get my mountain. It's fun that we could still win the game this turn. Not super likely to do so, though. So I do have a Vivi in the yard. So I could go discard FOMO, haste Shark, or cast Shark. I guess haste Shark is good because the Seer dies. And then Cauldron the Vivi. So I would get to put 3 counters on the Shark, and I could make 5 mana. Versus if I just haste FOMO, then I get to go attack for 5, and then they don't block, and then I attack for 8, and they do block, and I just die on the backswing. If I go for the FOMO line, I win if I draw a channeler. No, haste FOMO is not lethal. They just don't block, and then they do. Right? I haven't. They just don't block, and then they do. So I think I have to go for the Vivi line, which is a little bit more fun, anyways. Would you with 3 of FOMO draws 1 more? Okay, it's still not lethal, but right, I did forget the FOMO draw. It's still short. They go to 1. I guess it's not better to attack so we can flashback the Winternight. And they just have K command. Of course, we can't win either way, which seems like they kind of have it. Oh, maybe not. Okay, counters on the Shark. Now, surviving here is still going to be tough. We have 5 mana, though. And we have 2 Winternights and a looting in the yard. So let me go blue, blue, red, blue. Maybe one more red was better. Why don't I see any mana floating? Is this a bug? I tapped the Shark to the Winternight Stories. That's really frustrating. Is this a known bug? So I should have 4 mana floating here, which should let me go like Shark into flashback looting, and then I can make 3 mana off the Shark, and I could potentially like survive. I'm not very likely to win this game anyways. But it worked before. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I should have 4 mana floating there, and I don't know why I don't. Not a very good hand on the draw. No 1-drop on the draw. I should probably just mulligan. This hand's way better. Putting back. Oh, I guess maybe I'll keep. I think I keep second FOMO over the looting and just discard the VV to the Cauldron. This way we're not as weak to a single removal spell. Or if our 1 trespass was exiled, we would have had just had to play blockers. No, it wasn't just a visual bug because my thing was tapped. Oh, you say it could be a visual bug that I still have the mana and it showed I have no mana? That's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting. Fun match. I am loving the stack. My opponent's taking some time to show up here. They go Basic Forest, Utopia Sprawl on blue. Maybe I'll put the looting back here. I think that's the right call. Maybe it was better to play the Scalding Tarn in case they somehow turn 2 Blood Moon me. I think we're just playing against like regular Eldrazi ramp though. I wonder if this matchup is better than the Tron matchup. The shark in my hand was highlighted so I could cast. Okay, that's interesting. Although it might have been highlighted because of the cycle ability. It'd be a little bit narrow to replicate. They have 4, 5, 6, 7. Yikes. Not very easy for them to turn through Ugin. Let's hope they can't turn through Ugin. Or we could limit not being in the play for our turn 3 win. We might still win next turn even if they Ugin my FOMO. That'll be pretty hard. They need untap land, Ugin. Ugin. There's a tap land. That's not too helpful. Okay, so no 7 drops. A little bit scared of Mako spawn, get Bajuka Bog. That one's pretty good too. Maybe the Thoughtseize Bog will be alive and well. 2 cards in their hand here. Pretty slow, but I do think it's enough better than the average draw to keep. They might just like Ugin in their hand end of turn. Oh, great. Yeah, should be able to channel her first. Do we think they have K command with this pause? Seems kind of likely. I think I'm interested in having that on top of my deck if they don't have it. Let's just go ahead and tap the Cauldron. They got the K command. Okay, I'm gonna F6 while they resolve this and go use the restroom. Oh, I was F6. Sorry about that. They do make spawns, so this is maybe to cast Emrakul next turn, maybe to cast Ugin. Them playing the lab, I guess doesn't give us that much info. Okay. Ugin is definitely what we wanted to see. I guess I don't know what the best thing for them to target is, but this game is more or less going to come down to, I think, do we find another VV? And so if that's the case, maybe exiling the Channeler is the best call since Channeler gives me the most looks at the VV. They exile the FOMO, that means it's possible they have like a Talisman or something too. Looks like or something. 6 mana? Well, I think they miscounted. I don't think there's anything they can cast for 6 colorless, unless it's another K command, in which case we can be annoyed. Seems I can't escape this deck no matter what format I go to. We'll see. We'll see how long this one lasts, Cat, but it's been pretty good. Okay, it is another K command. They make spawns and then they scry draw. Provide a channeler. 1 on top, 3 on the bottom. If they keep a card on top, it's probably another castable. Oh, okay, something big for next turn then. So let's cycle this first. Counter on the Marco Sharko. Need a Vivi. Let's go. Creature. Okay, we're probably going to win now. We don't have Delirium at the moment. Let's see if they have the 3rd K command. They don't. Let's go. So I think let's just go ahead and cast the Winternight from hand first to grow this shark to make a good bit more mana. Having haste mana is pretty appealing, but also casting this looting first is like, it's just +2 mana if I do it. It doesn't exactly seem like I need the haste this turn, but we could live to regret this choice. So Profts. Now, if I cast this Profts, I obviously get a ton of counters. But the thing is, I don't have I have to act. This might last like Vivi activation, so I think I'm just keeping the Wraith because the Wraith is just +1 mana, which seems a bit better. And we're mostly just trying to find a Temporal Trespass. Okay, so let me make probably like 7 blue and 2 red, right? Seems like I should be casting the cheaper one. Attacking doesn't seem to be too important this turn either. Okay, keeping the shark seems really nice. Since this is going to make some more mana for me this turn. I think we'll flashback tapping the FOMO. Okay, so we discard these 2. So I have 5 mana in my pool. So that means I'm 1 mana short of going cast Vivi, then cast something else, which we would usually want to do here. Because you can activate the Vivi twice. But we need to cast this Winternight before we activate this shark so we can just make a bunch more mana. Okay, we found a Temporal Trespass, so we'll discard these 2. And then I think we just go cast Vivi, cast Trespass, and then pass the turn, and we'll try to win with a hasty channeler next turn. Thanks again, QQ, for the gifted sub and the regular sub. I think we want to save this Winternight for next turn so we can trigger a bigger Profts. Because we only have 24 cards left in our deck. We do have another Temporal Trespass still, and we can probably Cauldron another Vivi. I guess we only have 1 Vivi left in the deck actually. Let's go. We just have so much mana. I think we start off by flashing back a looting. We don't have infinite resources here. Might actually run out of resources. We can discard this to the Winternight Stories. And then we can get the second Vivi activations on everything. But we could brick here. Okay, we get another draw, so we'll discard the Vivi. I guess we could also draw off. We just cycle the shark in this spot. Kind of cool that you can do that. We'll fetch to thin also. We don't have another Surveil land, but we only have 18 cards in our deck, so feels like we're getting like 4% equity from this fetch. Okay, we have no fetchables left. So never mind on that. We do just have you know, an unlimited mana basically. Okay, there's our profs. So let's go ahead and I guess I can make a bunch. Blah 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 blah. So we want to have a hasty channeler, ideally, to just fly over all of these blockers. Okay. Should have some channelers left in the deck. We also should have a Trespass still in the deck, right? Okay, there's both. The channeler seems a good bit easier here. FOMO first. Looting sees more cards, which is all that matters. Okay, so let's go to combat. We also get to untap the channeler and attack with it twice if this isn't enough, which that definitely will be enough. FOMO's free. Okay, so if I have to discard the looting though. So if my hand is looting FOMO, if I cast FOMO first, I get to see 2 cards. If one of those cards is channeler or if one of those cards is channeler or trespass, I win. If it's not, I discard them, then I cast the FOMO. So that's 3 cards instead of casting FOMO, and then I also have the looting flashback too. So it's just 2 more cards to cast the looting. You didn't have looting, you cast looting from the graveyard. Okay, well, I don't know what you which we did a lot that turn, so I don't know which thing you're responding to, I guess. I thought you were talking about the moment when we had looting and FOMO as the 2 cards in hand. If there was a moment where I only had FOMO in hand, yes, you're right. I should have cast the FOMO. You're right. There was a moment where we had that. I mean, this hand has mostly everything. We're missing a way to discard the Vivi. I think on the draw with the Street Wraith we can keep. Maybe going to game 3. I think it's okay keeping these high upside hands on the draw. Talisman. They graveyarded a Dismember off the Hedge Maze, so maybe they need some lands. Almost interesting to just discard Vivi to hand size here. I think it's better to play. They do have the Dismember though. A few of the 30 lead months. Yeah, we still don't know why we put basic mountains in the deck. Gonna get Mako spawned. We're on the play. Okay, we are on the play. Have a looting. We can discard the Vivi. Let's go and keep. Pretty sure we want to lead on the shark so we can just get that large and in charge. If I draw a blue source immediately, untap blue source immediately, there's a good chance we want to play the profs so that the looting and the profs can power our shark up. Do I like the Eldrazi list of Ice Stones? I did like that list a lot. I feel a little bit bad that we didn't end up really like prioritizing that deck on stream very much, but I'm also kind of like trying to like at the moment consciously not like I'm trying to just play as few Mox Opals and Eldrazi Temples as I can this week, because despite those 2 cards being like really open for brewing, I'm getting a little bit burned out on them. So if I'm getting burned out on them, y'all must be like really burned out on them. All right, so I think we looting first before playing Channeler to try to find Cauldron, of course. Probably discard second FOMO here. Cauldron the Vivi. And it seems like we're going to want to cast the Winternight Stories. I guess we can go... Yeah, we can just go make enough mana to go Channeler into Winternight, flashback Winternight, and then put all the counters from the Profts onto Channeler and make a ton of mana off that. We'll discard, I think, the Channeler, because we mostly just like want card draw effects at this point. Keeping a Cauldron's kind of interesting. But yeah, we're mostly just going to be making our millions of mana here and digging for a Temporal Trespass. So we have 11 mana off the Channeler. Might as well crack the Bauble targeting them. They have a K command. A little late. Red, 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 like 5 red. 6 blue. Maybe, yeah, 5 blue, 7 red. Very red hand here. And then if we do see another Cauldron at this point, keeping it's probably good. Although I guess playing Vivi is probably better, right? Yeah, I think playing Vivi is better because I'm gonna get Vivi triggers and I can activate the Vivi off of it. But I don't think we care. I think cycling Wraith seems better than cycling FOMO because it's just 0 mana to cycle versus 2 mana. And sorry, did I say this? The Vivi gets 2 activations, one from itself and one from the Cauldron. Is something that I didn't really realize worked this way until I played this deck a few times. There's another Cauldron, but at this point we just we need cards. Okay, discard Thundering Falls, and then I want to discard Winternight Stories. I think I can play it for 3 mana, which gets 2 counters. It's maybe a little close. Yeah, but if I do this, I get maybe another Vivi activation. Also, I don't have that much mana left, so maybe keeping the Cauldron was better, but I didn't know that I was going to find the Winternight. Discard. I think I want a Winternight in the yard very badly. I guess this one, it's 3 mana from hander, so play this. I've not found a Trespass yet. We have 6 mana from this Vivi. I guess 7 mana from the Vivi because we get to play a spell from the yard and then we get to make 4 on the next activation. So we'll make 3 blue, maybe a red, I guess a red and 3 blue, and then have a red floating to draw into a looting. And then we can activate the Vivi a second time. Keeping this looting, it does give me 3 more looks at the Trespass. I think it's probably just important to have the ace land for next turn. We have 2 Trespasses in the deck. I haven't seen any in the top 16. And we do brick on it. So now I guess we just go discard Bauble Arena. And then we just cast all of these cards in our hand. You can play Mako for plus mana. Oh, right, we can. The Mako is still positive mana, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, so we can go Channeler into Flashback Looting, and this gives me 3 mana off the Shark and 4 more looks at a Temporal Trespass. Still turn 3. And still no Temporal Trespass. Red. Cast a Fear of Missing Out. I have 9 cards in my deck. 2 of them are Temporal Trespasses. We're probably going to still win this game here. We could use Mako long ago for mana. Was it long ago? I don't know. Maybe it was. I think we're going to get this one done. Okay, so even if they can survive with the K command here, which it isn't clear to me that they can, we should be able to find a Temporal Trespass and cast it. We have 2 of them left in our last 7 cards. They can. It does look like they can block my Channeler. They can block. Oh wait, they think this has flying. It does not have flying. It is weird to see a 9 power Channeler without flying. There's like a lot of off-stream testing too, and like changes between builds. They're on a multi-6 on the play. Get your points in. Misty Rainforest. Gonna crack the Bauble main phase to see if I like my top card or not. Street Wraith seems a little weird in the deck. Street Wraith is incredible. It's very good with Marauding Mako. It's very good with Profts, and it also gives you faster Delirium, which is pretty nice to have. It's like, in fact, Wraith might be the biggest upgrade to this deck from the standard version. But it also just like lets you churn through your deck really quickly, which is something that you care a lot about. Have I tried mono white Riddler? We've played a lot of Riddler builds. You do need some blue mana in your deck to play Riddler, though. This is Living End? This is Living End. Resolving this looting is really premium. Seems okay to keep on top. Wasn't Living End. Yeah, the trespasses are really mandatory because you need to be able to win the game after you can do everything, but also after you attack. It's very important. Okay, so we start off by casting Cauldron, maybe. I guess Channeler was better first. I was wondering if they would maybe let the Cauldron resolve if there was no creature in play, but they shouldn't. Okay, so let's go red, red, blue, blue. We're gonna make some mana off this shark. And then we should be able to cast Temporal Trespass this turn. So if I flashback the looting, then this is 4 power, and then the looting is -1 card in the graveyard +3 between the Surveil and the 2 cards discarded. We don't have anything else going besides this Temporal Trespass. We get to leave 1 card in the graveyard, which should be second Vivi, so we can activate twice next turn on all our creatures. Okay, and they concede. Good enough for them. Fast game against Fish here. Sorry for clapping right into the mic. Fire Magic is a card that is typically good against Merfolk. Merfolk is a deck that is really bad. I'm just going to click submit. I just don't think I care about killing their creatures. What? This is modern, right? Yeah, so as it turns out, Faithless Looting, Mishra's Bauble, Street Wraith, Arena of Glory, Dragon Rage's Channeler, these cards all really power up the standard Vivi Cauldron deck. And you know, I thought for a while that there would be like maybe another payoff in this archetype that like you're interested in working on instead, but like as from my testing so far, instead seems like sorry, I keep stuttering today. Instead, it really seems like you just like the package is really good, and just having more enablers is really the truth. Ooh. This is an interesting this is a hand that's got Verdant Catacombs and Merfolk? Oh, this isn't Fish, this is Birthing Ritual. Yeah, I don't think Ballista makes the cut, but it could be interesting. I'm actually just gonna save these baubles for the VV turn. Maybe a Wraith is a little bit better. We get the ping damage in. Well, maybe it is better to play the baubles. Let's see if this resolves, I guess. Maybe if they flare this, then definitely save the baubles. Yeah, but if we cycle the baubles, we still get the same amount of counters on Vivi just from the profs instead, and we have the chance to draw Street Wraith for one extra counter on the Vivi. So they have a sink in their hand. 5 cards after that. Let's see what they're drawing off the ice. Stern Scalding. Pretty good card against that. We draw 2 cards off the baubles, another profs, a Street Wraith, which we were just talking about, and an Arena of Glory. I think they're a bit too likely to have 0 mana counterspell here. We'll cast the Vivi first. If we get 0 mana counterspell, then we'll save the Wraith next turn to trigger the profs / the Mako. They do have a subtlety. I mean, I'm keeping this on top, I guess. Coil the Oracle, Kira the Great Glass Spinner. Funny, we have nothing that targets their creatures in our deck. Can't say that often. They do still have the Scalding up. Okay, let me haste the Vivi and then just like entomb it with the Stern Scalding. Should have left the mana floating for the Mako Sharko, although it seems like they're thinking about not. It's a pretty dangerous call. I don't feel like, yeah. Okay, so 1 counter from the Street Wraith, 1 counter from the profs. Who was the chatter that thought Wraith was weird? Are you seeing it now? Is Orb worth the sideboard? Am I thinking it? Seems great against these ritual decks. I mean, it is good. I think the sideboard could use some tuning. I think Orbs are fine more than they're like particularly good. That's true. Maybe they have Snare also, but they also could. I can't cast the Cauldron this turn even if I did have it. 2 Oculuses. Okay, well, we're not dead this next turn, but they're gonna kill me pretty quick. Doesn't seem like casting Vivi is ever going to be good this game. Oh, sorry, I'm dead on board. Not if they block like this though. No, they caught it. Good again, 3. Oops. I don't think we're gonna win that. I don't think we're gonna win that one anyway. The 2 pretty lopsided games. I still don't think I want any of these sideboard cards against the ritual deck. It is, I think that like these like birthing ritual piles are they're becoming a lot more prominent. Just fun. I also have played against very little Boros recently. I don't know if that's just like sometimes it seems like people just kind of get bored of Boros. I could save the Bauble for the props, but I think I'm kind of interested to see how good my top card is. And I think I actually really do want to draw this so I can have something good to discard to the FOMO. And then hopefully we can get the FOMO and the profs down and have a big explosive turn, although all of their stuff does counter the FOMO. Okay, well. Greenwire, the 30 months, thank you, welcome back. I definitely want to get a mountain because they could have some Harbingers in the deck. It's a little bit tempting maybe to go DRC plus Faithless Looting this turn because of Scalding. I'll look at a Snare rather. Yeah, I think if they have Snare, I just really want them to snare the FOMO and not the Cauldron, so we'll just cast this. Thanks Greenwire for the 30. So Scalding the FOMO, we do have Delirium. And then they have kept a 1-lander. So let's see if this Channeler resolves. No second Scalding. They could still have a Snare. Also, maybe they just F6 through their turn. I don't think it's 100% that they kept the 1-lander. They may have just misclicked there. the 1 power or toughness short of casting a Winternight Stories. That's okay. We'll just go ahead and go to their turn. They have a Dismember. So if they have a snare, they're probably desperate to use it, and they might snare that. And so they didn't snare the Profts. We'll see if they are just being very disciplined despite missing lands, or if they maybe just don't have it. Okay, they just don't have it. Now, what we don't have anymore is a creature, but we're not under any pressure at the moment. They find their second land. They play a flip. I'm going to target their graveyard, I think, so that we're stopping a Oculus from being hard cast. And we'll cast a Channeler and see if they have access to a free counter. They do, and a Flayer of Denial. And then we get to churn through the deck some. We discard these two, and then I'm not going to cycle the Street Wraith. I'm just going to save that for next turn because it'll trigger the Profs, and maybe I could draw a Shark and trigger there too. They deploy a Birthing Ritual. It's maybe, I think at this point, maybe it's just better to get 1 Vivi under the Cauldron so that I can double activate on this next turn. Quad Profs, not ideal. Flashback Looting, loot some of these away. Okay, and do they have another counterspell? Or I guess it's subtlety. They do have subtlety. The good news is we can cast this twice next turn through another subtlety. And let me Cauldron their graveyard so that they can't just go non-fetch land into Oculus. If they do go fetch land into Oculus, it's not the end of the world either. They main phase Floodpit's Drowner to dig for something off the ritual. Seems like they have a few choices. Kira, okay then. Still not a card that is good against me. Maybe they have a Flare. Okay. Now what? Let's start off, I think, by flashing back Winternight Stories. We want to draw a bunch of cards so we can put counters on the Channeler and then activate this Cauldron on a second VV this turn so that our creatures can double activate. That would be pretty ideal. FOMO is really, really good here. I think we can discard one of the 2 FOMOs and then discard the looting to the other one. I might just have lethal right now even. Do you think Thought Monitor is good in Affinity? I do think that, yeah. Okay, let me... Okay, guys, so I've drawn 3, 4. So I'm going to put 4 counters, then another 4. Then obviously I have this. So let me just go ahead and draw some more cards before we cast the Temporal Trespass in our second main phase off the FOMO mana. So because it would be nice to be able to present lethal. Maybe this sounds obvious, but it would be nice to be able to present lethal without the Temporal Trespass resolving. Then we can cast the Temporal Trespass second main because of the Prof's mana. And I think we might as well keep that. So we can just draw more cards for more counters, and then we'll just discard the 2 non-trespass cards. And I think now this will be lethal. Maybe they survive with the chump block, but I think we've drawn 10 cards. This is they endurance me. That doesn't seem. I can cast trespass. Endurance doesn't even care about it. I don't get my second combat step for the Profs though, and I did not. Okay, I'm just totally wrong. I only drew 8 cards, so I can't cast the Temporal Trespass. I'm going to be 3 mana short. A sad and pathetic turn. Not really, but they're down to 2 life. We have 2 lethal attackers in play. They have 2 spells in their hand. They start off by surveilling a hedge maze, a forest to the yard with hedge maze. Then they main phase Floodpit's Drowner. Yeah, just 1 mana short. We have 10 mana off the FOBO, and this cost 11, and they enduranced me. Fun situation. Incredibly greedy attack with Kira. I guess they're just for sure. I guess maybe not that greedy. They just always sack it. And if they're not finding a creature here, they're not going to be winning. So that's an okay attitude. They hit a Coiling Oracle, which puts Windswept Heath into play. This is stun countered. This is now 1 counter for Profs. They're thinking. Maybe I should have trespassed first, though, so that I would have gotten a Surveil. All right, and they concede. Okay, so before we won this league, this deck has continued to be pretty good. I know we didn't have a great challenge today. I think it's tough being on the draw against turn 2 Archon, tough to play against the Leyline of the Void Bowmaster deck. Very good against our strategy, but this deck is real. I'm interested in playing it at another challenge at some point. You know, I said this earlier. Oh, open the Mox Opal. I said this earlier, but typically when you have a good standard deck and all of the busted enablers in Modern, Opal, Arena, Looting, Channeler, Street Wraith, when all of these help enable the strategy to like elevate it to even higher heights, that tends to be a really good formula. Like ported deck into Modern. So took a long time to figure out, was a lot of testing off stream, but has certainly been a really fun experience. Let's find somebody to get raid and get out of here. I think I'll send y'all over to my friend Mistaken today. I've been Aspiring Spike. I got a few more decks prepped.